Alright, so now that we have our BP key and BP door set up, let's go to the other side of our level where we have this bonded wooden house. If I right click and do play from here and I turn on the flashlight, here is our entrance to this bonded building. So what we can do is we can add a little plank right here so that we have to crouch in order to get inside this building. So we actually use our crouch mechanic. So if we will go to our content drawer, 3D models, here we have our bonded house and we have our plank model right here. So we can just grab this model, move it a little bit higher, rotate it correctly, and now we can move this plank right at the door position, something like that. Let's see if we can crouch under this plank. I think it's still too low, so we need to move it higher a little bit. And now let's test this. Now we can now we can crouch under this plank, and now we're actually using this crouching mechanic. Okay, so inside this building, inside this bonded house, what I want to do is add a cabinet with different drawers, and in one of the drawers we will add a key that we can pick up in order to unlock the door for the cabin. So let's go to 3D models, and here in the horror game asset files you will see this cabinet folder. Here we have a cabinet and cabinet drawer. So let's just bring this folder into the 3D models folder and let's just click imports. Let's click yes and yes, apply to all, yes. And here it just says that there is no smoothing group, but we don't need to worry about this. So if we just open this cabinet like this, you can see the material is not working properly. So let's just delete everything from this material. And let's just grab base color, plug it in, save, and see if this worked. Yeah, now our cabinet is working properly. So let's just continue with creating this material. We will use metallic and plug it into metallic. Here we have normal, which is normal. And finally, we have roughness material, which we can plug into roughness. And now our cabinet looks a little bit better. And if we will just bring it in, you can see it actually looks like a cabinet. So let's just rotate it properly. We can change the snapping to 5. Okay. And now we can move this cabinet a bit more here to the corner. Okay, I think this looks great. So let's just play test here. Yeah, this is looking great. I like this. So now we will add drawers to this cabinet, but we won't add just this basic model. Of course, we could do that. We could just bring these and place them on this in this cabinet. But I want to create a blueprint for the drawers in order so that we can open them with our interaction system. So let's do that. We will go to main, interactable actors, and here we will create new blueprint class. It will be actor. Let's call this BP drawer. Okay, let's open it up. We can close this material and this model right here. We don't need it. The first thing that we will have to do is go to class settings, interfaces, and here we need to add our BPI interaction so that we have this on interact event. If you double click on that, it will open up like that. Let's compile save. So here what we need to do is go to viewport because we need to add a drawer mesh, right? So let's add a static mesh. We can rename this to drawer mesh, just like that. Let's compile. And now we can select our drawer model. Okay, let's go to event graph into our onInteract event. So when we interact with this drawer, we either wanted to close the drawer or open it. So we will do a flip flop. Flip flop basically does one thing the first time, and the second time it will do the B thing. Then go to A, then go to B, then go to A, and so on. So the first scenario, when we first interact with the drawer, it will be closed. So we can go from A as it is closed. So from A, we want to play sound at location. That's what we want to do. And as for the sound, we can just search for drawer and we can do drawer open. As for the location, we can just grab this drawer mesh and search for get world location, just like that, and plug it in here. So when we interact with the drawer for the first time, we want to open the drawer, but when we interact the second time, we want to close it. So we can duplicate the play sound at location, plug the location in, and just change the sound to drawer close. Okay, so after we play the sound, we want to change its position because we want to move the drawer forward as it is opening. So the best and easiest way to do that is just by doing a timeline. Let's name this TL open drawer. If we are opening the drawer, we want to play this timeline, and if we're closing it, we want to play it from reverse. Let's open up this timeline and let's change the length to 0.5, so it will take half a second to open and half a second to close the drawer. Let's compile and create a float track called alpha, which will have two values. So shift left click to create two of them. The first one will be at the time 0, and the value will be the value will be 0 again. And this one will be at the time 0.5, so at the end of our timeline, and the value will be 1. Click these two buttons to center this entire timeline. Select two keyframes, right click auto, so they will just be smoother and the drawer will just look better. The animation of drawer opening and closing will just look way better. Let's just close the timeline. And the last thing that we need to do is to just grab our drawer mesh, do set relative location, and on update, we will do that on update. And as for the location, we will just right click and split it, because the only location that we need to worry about is the forward and backwards, which is Y in this case. So let's just grab from Y and do lerp, plug the alpha to alpha. So it will mean that at the beginning of our timeline, the position will be 0, and at the end of our timeline, the position will be something around 40. So let's compile, save, and let's go back to our level. So now we can go to main 3D models, no, interactable actors, and here we have our BP drawer. So let's just copy rotation of this cabinet, so it's rotated the same way. Okay, and now we can put it somewhere here. Let's change the snapping to 5, and let's see if this works. So let's just right click, play from here, turn on the flashlight, and when we hover over this drawer, it shows us that we can interact with it. And if we interact with it, you can see the drawer is opening. And when we interact with this drawer for the second time, it'll just close. As simple as that.